All right, good morning. My name is Demetrius Dalton, Nevada Arts Council board member and panel chair for today's grant panel review. And I call this meeting to order at 10:01. I have on my computer Friday, September 1st, 2023. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome everyone to the Nevada Arts Council Fiscal Year 2024 Artist Fellowship Grant in Performing Arts, Dance, and Theater category panel review. This public meeting is being recorded. Please remember to identify yourself each time you speak and to speak loudly and clearly so that that your comments will be clearly recorded and so that the audience members can hear you. At this time, will Arts Council staff please confirm that the meeting has properly posted?
This is Sapira. The meeting has been properly posted.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We now move on to our land acknowledgement. We begin our Nevada Arts Council meeting by acknowledging the Numa, Nuwe, Nuuvi, Wasishu, and Pipa Aha Makav have lived in the Great Basin since time began. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude to our 5 major indigenous groups, the Northern Paiute, the Shoshone, the Southern Paiute, the Washoe, and the Mojave, not just the original caretakers of the land we now call Nevada, but for their enduring stewardship and protection of our shared lands and waterways. Today, Nevada Arts Council reaffirms its commitment to improve the quality of life for our 28 tribal nations, bands, colonies, and the 62,000 plus urban Indians who choose to make Nevada their current home. Okay, thank you to those joining us today on this virtual meeting. Your attendance shows your commitment to Nevada's arts industry, and on behalf of the staff and the board of the Nevada Arts Council, I commend, and thank you for all that you do. At this time, we will proceed to agenda item A2, roll call and introductions. I will now introduce our panelists. First, we have Jamila Keyarini. I tried it. Is a multiple talented artist who hails from Berkeley, California. She has an extensive dance background, having studied at the School of the Hartford Ballet and Florida State University. Jamila is a writer, producer, and performer. She writes for and produces Dance Watch Weekly for Oregon Arts Watch in Portland, Oregon, which is a monthly column aimed at promoting the visibility and viability of dance in Oregon. As a producer, Jamila co-founded Co-Mission in Portland, Oregon, and founded the Outlet Dance Project at Grounds for Sculpture in Hamilton, New Jersey. She has performed and choreographed original works for herself, ballets for operas, new works for the Kalamandir Dance Company, a New Jersey-based dance company that blends multiple forms of classical Indian dance with modern dance to create a contemporary voice. Jamila served as the Regional Arts and Cultural Council's Project Grant Dance Panel in Portland, Oregon in 2015, and in 2023, she was a National Endowment of the Arts Dance Grant panelist. Thank you, Jamila. I've got to work on your name, Jamila. Thank you. Welcome, Jamila. Next, we have Jenn Freeman. Chicago-based performance artist Jenn Freeman, also known as Poochop, uses elements of dance, storytelling, and striptease to create performances and inspire students and collaborators across the country. Poochop, or Pochop, is the co-founder of House of the Lord and creator and author of the blogzine, The Brown Pages. She has performed at the Brooklyn Museum in Brown Girls Burlesque Bodyspeak, at the Harris Theater for Music and Dance for TEDx Chicago 2022, and headline shows in New Orleans, Minneapolis, Denver, St. Louis, and New York. Pochops is a board member and cast member for Jeezy's Luke Joint and All Black Burlesque Revue. Pochops performs on Netflix Easy Season 2, appears in music videos for songs by Jamila Woods and Mykele, Deville, and creates and performs in experimental dance films such as LITANY. Jenn Freeman was recognized as a 2022 United States Artist Fellow, a 2022 Dance/USA Fellow, a 2021 Foundation of Contemporary Art Grant for Artists recipient, selected as a 2019 through 2020 Urban Bushwoman Choreographic Fellow, and as a 2018 Chicago Dancemakers Lab Artist. Pochop has been voted among the top 50 most influential burlesque artists by the 21st Century magazine in 2022, 2021, and 2020, and was dancer in residence at Rebuild Foundation in 2020. Welcome, Jenn. And then we have John Rice. John Patrick Rice is a professor of fine arts and humanities at Great Basin College, where he also serves as the producing artistic director of Great Basin Theater. The United States Senate recently reappointed him to the board of directors of the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress. Closer to home, he serves on the board of Walker Basin Conservancy, working to restore and maintain Western Nevada's Walker Lake while protecting agricultural, environmental, and recreational interests throughout the Walker Basin. In addition, he served for 6 years on the board of Nevada Humanities, the last 2 as its chair. The Nevada Arts Council has relied on him to serve as a reviewer for multiple Nevada Arts Council fellowship programs. The citizens of Elko elected Rice to 3 terms on the Elko City Council, where he established Nevada's first community arts and culture advisory board, resulting in several public art projects throughout the city of Elko. Rice continues to work as an actor on the professional stage, most recently as Francis Nurse in The Crucible at the Rep at the University of Delaware. Welcome, John. We will now move to agenda item B, public comment. A period of public comment will be allowed at the beginning and at the end of the meeting. Members of the public who wish to participate during a public meeting may do so by providing public comment during the 2 designated public comment periods. Members of the public attending may not speak except during the public comment section. Public comments may also be submitted via email to grants@nevadaculture.org. That is grants@nevadaculture.org, no spaces. Because of time considerations, the period for public comment by each speaker may be limited to 3 minutes at this discretion of the chair, and speakers are urged to avoid repetition of comments made by previous speakers. Applicants who are attending today do not have an unfair advantage over those who are not in attendance, and the committee will not take public comment regarding any grant applications under consideration. Is there anyone joining today's meeting who wishes to provide a comment? And do we have any public comments received via email?
Hi, this is Sapira. I think we missed the roll call for the staff. So could we just do that very quickly?
Sorry, guys. Okay.
So this is Sapira. I am the Artist Service Specialist for the Nevada Arts Council. I'm based out of the Las Vegas office.
I am Stephen Reed. I am the Artist Service Specialist, and I am out of the Carson City office.
And good morning, I'm Krista Ficken from the Grants Program, Carson City office, coming to you remotely. And Mr. Ward.
Good morning. My name's Harry Ward. I'm Deputy Attorney General. I'm here for open meeting law compliance. I know initially you heard that you were supposed to state your name. You don't have to state your name, your first name when you talk. And the reason why I say this is because I have to explain it to a lot of people. Sometimes we, the board or the council, get a public records request, and it might be either transcribed or they might get just an audio request, or they may get the whole thing. And that's why it's necessary for you to state your name in case this matter has to be transcribed. You guys have done a great job in the past. I don't see any problems with the panelists having any problems today. So good luck.
This is Demetra. So sorry, guys. I just breezed right over you. Do we have any public comment at this time?
This is Krista. I don't see any public comments coming in via chat, and we did not receive any via email.
Okay. This is Demetrius. We will now move to agenda item C for possible action review of the FY24 Artist Fellowship Grant in Performing Arts, Dance and Theater category applications. The Nevada Arts Council will award a total of 5 artist fellowships of $5,000 to the top scorers of this year's 2 divisions, literary arts and performing arts. Today's applications for dance and theater fall into the performing arts category. During the meeting today, the panel will discuss and score 14 applications. The goal of this panel is to score the applications to make recommendations to the Nevada Arts Council Board. Applications are scored according to the following review criteria. 1, clear demonstration of the artist's intent and process, 10 points. 2, consistency in the exceptional caliber of the work, 10 points. 3, evidence of artistic impact, such as influence within a specific community or genre of art, also 10 points. The Artist Fellowship Grant recognizes individual artists living in Nevada who demonstrate excellence in their work. By acknowledging outstanding artistic accomplishments, the program promotes public awareness and appreciation of the role of the artist in our society. In odd fiscal years, the grant is open to visual artists, and in even fiscal years, it is open to performing and literary artists. Okay, all applications received were reviewed by staff for eligibility only, then moved to the panel review process. Prior to reviewing the applications, the panelists completed the Nevada Arts Council panelist orientation and training. Then each panelist reviewed the application and supplemental materials online and submitted preliminary scores and comments for all applications. We have assembled an outstanding panel of experts in the field of performing arts today. We encourage the panelists to share their knowledge about aesthetics, stylistic, or cultural trends that may affect other panel members' understanding of the application being discussed. We also urge panelists to speak out strongly in support of applications that you believe should be considered by your fellow panel members. As a reminder, Panel members are not permitted to enhance any application by offering their personal knowledge of an applicant. No information beyond the application itself may be discussed. Staff may only provide clarification and or assist panelists in locating information. In accordance with the Nevada Open Meeting Law, panelists may not discuss any application outside of this public meeting. So please make sure that no discussion regarding applications occurs during breaks, lunch, and after a meeting adjourns for the day. All right, all panelists previously received information regarding conflicts of interest. If a panelist stands to profit in some way from the awarding of a grant to any of the panelists, the panelists must refrain from participating in the discussion and scoring of that application. Conflict of interest forms were given to panelists previously and have already been signed and turned into Nevada Arts Council staff. Panelists, when I call on you, please state your name for the record and announce if you have any conflicts of interest. So let's start with panelists. Jamuna, any conflict of interest for you?
This is Jamuna Chirini, and I have no conflict of interest.
Thank you, Jamuna. Jenn?
This is Jenn Freeman, and I have no conflicts of interest.
Thank you, Jenn. And John?
This is John, and I have no conflicts of interest.
Thank you, John. Okay, this is Demetrius. Our panel review has up to 3 rounds. In round 1, I will state the application number and ask each panelist to state their name, round 1 score, and initial comments for that application. If there is a large discrepancy in scores between panelists on a certain application, the staff may ask panelists to clarify their scores through discussion. Panelists will have the opportunity to adjust their scores at this time. If a panelist changes a score, they must state the justification of that change. The Nevada Art Council staff will record the average panel scores for each applicant and determine which application moves on to the next round based upon average scores. Okay, if we're all ready, we will start. So let's look at first AFG24-0002. Let's start with Jamuna. Jamuna, do you have a preliminary score and a comment for us?
Yes, this is Jamuna. I gave a total of 30, 10 in each category. And my comments were this. I thought this was a superb application. The artist met all of the requirements in each category, and I gained a clear understanding of the artist and their work through their writing and work samples. I enjoyed watching the work in the video samples. The dance choreography and ideas were excellent quality. I thought the work was interesting, relevant, and thought-provoking. I appreciated the mixing of mediums and the feminist values built into the work. Solos was a beautiful mover. My only complaint was that I wish there had been more video samples because I found her work interesting and I was curious about her. That's all.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, Jamuna. How about Jenn? Do you have a preliminary score and a comment for us?
Yes, this is Jenn speaking. My preliminary score was 19. I thought that it was a strong artistic statement, well-organized application with contextualized work samples. I appreciated the representation of range of body shapes in their work. I thought the work samples could have aligned more with the artistic statement. I would have liked to have seen clear examples of ordinary movements that accelerated to the absurd. A couple questions that popped up was, why is this a choice? Like, why is it a choice for the absurd movements or the ordinary movements to accelerate into absurd? Why is this a choice and how does this support their values? I also thought the application could have been stronger with clarity surrounding who their work is intended for and why. How does their work make an impact? Why is it important to work from a body inclusivity place and how does this impact their creative process?
This is Demetrius. Thank you, Jen. Okay, John, do you have a score and a comment for us?
I do. My score is a 20. I thought that the first piece, Chocolate, was very interesting. However, as someone with little background in dance, as other than as an audience member, I wasn't able to really appreciate it out of its context. But the 100 Dances for Times, I thought, was very well done, very tight and engaging, and I love the variety of body types. And I would add that I think that the overall, I believe the piece would connect well in Nevada communities.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, John. Okay, do we have any further comments or discussion from any of the panelists at this point? Okay, it looks like we are ready for a final score.
This is Krista. We are looking at the round one scores. So at this point, panelists, just so you know, we're gonna highlight the screen, as you can see, with the line that we're on, and we're just gonna go through and you can confirm or change your scores if there has been anything in the comments of other panelists so far that has influences your scores. You can simply say, hi, my name is blank. I want to change my score to this, and this is why. And that can be as simple as influence from what the other panelists have said, or I realized I missed something when I reviewed it, anything like that. So just quick overview. So we are looking at the round one scores for application AFG 24-0002. Jamuna, if I can start with you.
This is Jamuna. I actually am the other panelists. I'm curious how you guys chose a number for each category. Your numbers were less than mine, so I was curious. Does that make sense?
This is John. I'm happy to address that. I kind of I set a standard, or I shouldn't say I set a standard, but my very first review, I essentially scored somewhere between 5 and 10 on each applicant, and I set myself up on the very first review in that realm, and then as I went through the rest of the applications, I more or less used that same formula, and anyway, it turned out to be pretty consistent throughout throughout the review for me. So I think I probably just scored lower initially, just to give myself some room to move with other applications.
Hi, this is Jen speaking. I did something similar. I wish I had it in front of me, but essentially before I even looked at the applications, actually, I just created a rubric that was like, between 8 and 10. This is like excellent, meets all the things, and then just broke it down from there. I didn't bring it with me, actually, what it was, but I could look for it really quick. But I essentially just made a little rubric / scale. And even at the end, when I went back over my scores, I erred on the lower end of numbers for the most part. I don't know if I actually gave a 10 to any application, but yeah, that's kind of where my thinking was around the scoring process.
Thank you. This is Jamuna. I just want to know, I think I was very generous, so I kind of want to know why you guys chose the numbers you did, because I'm questioning why, if I chose the right number or not. So I'd love to hear that from you guys throughout.
Hi, this is Stephen Reed for the record. Jamuna, this is kind of not unusual. You will come in with your scores, and we've kind of reviewed all the applications and scoring as things have come in, and you guys are consistent within your scoring as well. So through this dialogue that we're going to have, and you'll see the scoring, and the other panelists have elicited how they've kind of gone about scoring. You are allowed to kind of change your scores predicated on the discussion of the other panelists. But we want you to stay true to the work samples that you reviewed and the scoring that you used to review them. Those two things are important. Now, your scores can definitely change based on some of the discussion. But we don't want you to try to start altering your scores based on what somebody else has mentioned in their scoring. So try to stay true to what you've scored here. And if you feel that in that conversation with the other panelists, there is something that you missed, or you want to up or lower your scores based on that discussion, you're allowed to do so as well.
Thank you.
Oh, this is Krista. I'll just add, just be true to how you have scored across the applicants. And that's when Stefan says that everyone was kind of consistent in how they scored. It's visible to us and how your scoring fluctuates throughout. So as long as you're true to what was your thought process when you were scoring each of them, you'll see that it all kind of evens out across the scoring. So, right. So we're gonna double check again. We'll just start over. And one other thing, typically, if there's any questions, if you guys want to have any conversation, when Demetrius asks while we're still prior to seeing the screen, if you have conversation, feel free to ask questions to each other at that point, and then we'll move on to this so that this is nice and clean part of the process, but we'll all get in the groove as we move through these. So we're gonna look again, start at round one scores for application AFG 24-0002. And Jamila, if we can get your score, please.
This is Jamuna, I'm gonna leave it at 30.
Thank you. Jen, please.
This is Jen. I'm gonna leave it at 19.
Thank you. And John, please.
And I'll stick with 20.
Name? John. Just remember to say your name first. So it's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, John. This is John. I'm staying with 20. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Final round one scores for application AFG 24-0002 are Jamuna 30, John 20, and Jen 19 for an average score of 23.0.
Okay, this is Demetrius. We're now moving on to AFG 24-0012. Let's start with Jen. Jen, what is your preliminary score and comments, please?
This is Jen. My preliminary score for this application was 17. I thought that the artistic statement could benefit from clarity and further specificity. A couple questions that I had were, what are the values of this artist? How does Shakespeare lend itself to bringing those values to the forefront? Who is this work intended for? What is the rehearsal process? How does their values impact the rehearsal process? What is their process for adapting Shakespeare's work? Were just a couple questions that came up for me. Thank you.
Okay, this is Demetrius. Thank you, Jen. All right, John, what is your preliminary score and comments?
This is John, and my preliminary score is 25. I have to check my math. Yes, 25. And I thought that the fight work in Macbeth was just excellent. And what I was most impressed with in that was its innovative use of innovative weapons, not traditional swords and rapiers. But I can't remember exactly what the weapons were. But I really liked that innovation, and I thought that was cool. And the other thing that I thought was cool was how the applicant created a performance of Romeo and Juliet in a very small round stage. Brought a lot of immediacy to the production and a great immediate experience for its audience. I would have loved to have seen that particular play. The Flipping Metal Circus, I wasn't quite sure how to compare that to the other submissions by the applicant, but wow, it had great sound and exciting images, and I think it was a real audience pleaser and just a terrific piece of theater or performance that audiences will appreciate, and I think that can actually generate interest in the performing arts among audience members.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, John. Okay, Jamona, what is your preliminary score and comments?
This is Jamuna, and I gave them a 30. I said the artist's work is hilarious, entertaining, unique, and of excellent merit, artistic merit. I thought the video samples clearly showed that what the artist's intent was and the process, and how it materialized into reality, and that the artist did what they intended to do. I'm not sure that I find Shakespeare still engaging, even in a contemporized way, especially considering everything happening in the world today. However, art does not have to be so serious and can be used to entertain and provide relief and create joy and communal experiences as the artist wants. So,
okay. This is Demetrius, and thank you, Jamona. I'm still working on your name. I'm going to get it. I'm determined. All right.
Just say M-U-N-A, Jamuna.
Jamuna. Okay. Thank you so much. So are there any further comments or discussions that the panelists would like to share with each other before we move on to this round's final score?
This is John. I have nothing to add.
Perfect. Seeing none, this is Krista. We're going to look at the round one scores for application AFG 24-0012. John, if we can start with you this time, please.
I'm sorry, were you speaking to me?
Yes, you.
Oh, yes, this is John. I'm sticking with my 25.
Thank you. Jamuna, please.
This is Jamuna, and I'm sticking with 30.
Thank you. And Jen, please.
This is Jen. I'm sticking with my 17.
Thank you so much. Final round one scores for application AFG 24-0012 are Jamuna 30, John 25, and Jen 17 for an average score of 24.0.
Okay, this is Demetrius. We're now moving on to applicant AFG 24-0016. Let's start it off with a preliminary score and comment from John, please.
Okay, this is John. I got to do math again. 21 is my score on application 16. I thought that there was very good work in an underserved community. And I guess what impressed me the most about this particular application was the opportunity it presented for preserving old traditions and creating new ones in the community that it serves. That's what I thought was the strength.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, John. Okay, we'll move on to Jamuna. What was your preliminary score and what are your comments, please?
This is Jamuna, and I gave him a 12. I said the intent of this group's direction and focus was clear. I understood that their work aims to maintain and express in Indigenous ways of dancing, which is essential. Judging the caliber of the work didn't feel relevant in this case. I wish there was a clearer picture of who the group is, what they do specifically, why they do it, how they do it, and who it's for. I would like to know more about how this work affects the community and how long they've taught the dances. I didn't get any sense of structure of the group. Teaching the dances is important, but I needed more information to understand the whole picture.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, Jamuna. Now we will move on to Jen. What is your preliminary score and what's your comments?
This is Jen speaking. My preliminary score was a 20. I thought that, I appreciated the intergenerational aspect of the work. And also the sharing of dance outside of traditional dance spaces. I thought the application could have been strengthened with more details, adding context to the work samples. Where was this taking place? When was it? Where and how are the dances shared? When the applicant says, quote unquote, our culture, what does that mean? Can they speak more directly to that? Can they speak more directly to when they say the indigenous way, what that is and how does that show up in the work? And then I also said, I lost my place. Can the, when they say the indigenous way, can that be reflected in the application and how they write and speak about the work as well? Thank you.
All right, this is Demetrius, and thank you so much, Jen. Okay, do any of the panelists want to have further comments or further discussion on this particular application?
Nothing more to add. This is John.
Nothing more to add. This is Jamila.
All right. This is Demetrius. We are ready for the final score of this round. Krista?
This is Krista. Just a quick, so it's a little bit easier for everyone when Demetrius asked that, if everyone just stays silent, we'll get the hint. it's okay. This is Krista. We're looking at the round one scores for AFG 24-0016. Jen, if I can start with you on this one, please.
This is Jen speaking, sticking with my 20.
Thank you. John, please.
This is John, sticking with my 21. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jamuna, please.
This is Jamuna. I'm sticking with my 12.
Thank you. Round one scores for application AFG 24-0016 are Jamuna 12, John 21, and Jen 20 for an average score of, it didn't want to tab, 17.7.
Here we go. This is Demetrius. Let's move on to application AFG 24-0026. We're going to start off with Jamuna. What was your preliminary score and comment on this application?
This is Jamuna, and my preliminary score was 23. I found the senior plays to be enjoyable. I rarely see plays featuring seniors, so it is unique and a valuable experience. The artist's intent and process are clear, but I would like to know more about how the seniors got involved. How they got involved would help me understand the community impact. Did they audition? Are they professionals or amateurs? While there is no specific evidence of community impact, I can assume that the working with kids and seniors creates opportunities for them to express themselves and to be seen would positively impact communities. Production values are low, and I would love to see it more polished. The work isn't professional level, but it still has great value, but I would like to see that value demonstrated and described.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, Jamuna. All right, let's move on to Jen. Preliminary scores and comments.
This is Jen speaking. My preliminary score was 16. I said yes to documenting oral history as a tool to preserve stories. I enjoyed the use of elders, for lack of a better word, in the work. I thought the application was well laid out and did a fantastic job contextualizing the work samples. I thought the application could be strengthened with just a few sentences speaking to their practice, their rehearsal process, and how the participants impact that process. Thank you.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, Jen. All right, next is John. Your preliminary score and comment, please.
This is John. My preliminary score is 21. I thought all three of the examples provided evidence of impact. The pieces were clearly engaging to the performers and to the audience. The water piece I thought was especially fun and engaging. It was very active. I appreciate that kind of action on stage because I think it really brings audiences into the experience. I can see all three projects fitting into multiple venues. If this was something that was going to tour, for instance, around the state, it would be easy to tour and easy to bring to a very broad audience. And what I mean by is, statewide, from community to community. Also, the senior citizen involvement would fill a void in my community. I know that. So I appreciated that aspect of the work as well.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, John. All right. So now, are there any more further discussions or comments from the panelists? Okay, then we will move on to final score for this round. Krista?
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one scores for application AFG 24-0026. Jamuna, if I can start with you this time, please.
This is Jamuna, and I'm leaving it at 23.
Thank you. John, please.
This is Jen, leaving at 16.
Thank you. And John, please.
I am satisfied with my current score of 21.
And your name, please. John, just state your name, please. With your
I think I was muted when I said it. This
Oh.
is John. I apologize.
Thank you. Application AFG 24-0026, Jamuna 23, John 21, and Jen 16 for an average score of 20.0.
Okay, this is Demetrius, and we're going to move on to the next application, AFG 24-0034. All right, we're going to start it off with Jen. Preliminary scores and comments, please.
This is Jen. For application 34, I have a preliminary score of 24. I thought this was a strong application. I really enjoyed reading their artistic statement. I thought their voice was really, really strong, and helps give me insight on just like who they are as a human being, as a person as well. I thought the work samples were strong and captivating, and also were aligned or woven with their artistic statement, which I appreciated. The only area that I was curious about or wanted to hear more about was their impact, how their work impacted their community. But yeah, thank you.
This is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jen. John, preliminary score and comments?
This is John. My preliminary score is 27. I thought that the piece Sandman definitely lived up to its the applicant's description of it as a Tim Burton movie put on stage. I really enjoyed looking at that. I thought that the performances in the piece was solid everywhere. I couldn't quite figure out the context for measure for measure, if there was a weak part of that. So while I enjoyed that performance, I was trying to figure out how it fit into the context of the application. And the final piece, Angry Fags, I thought was very well done. But all around, I thought it was a strong application, and I appreciated the work.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, John. All right, Jamuna, your preliminary score and comment, please.
This is Jamuna, and I gave them a 30. I wrote, the vision this artist has is clear and well executed. The work is interesting and thought-provoking, and it is also fun to watch. It has high artistic merit and has it looks to be impacting the community and the genre positively. The work is original and creative, and it has something to say. It is well made, well executed, and it leaves a lasting impression.
All right, this is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jamuna. So are there any comments or further discussions, anything that pops up that you think you might want to add? Okay, looks like we're ready for the final score for this round, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at round one scores for application AFG 24-0034. And this time, if we can start with John, please.
Sorry, I lost my cursor. I'm sticking with 27.
And your name, please.
This is John.
Thank you. Jamuna, please.
This is Jamuna, and I'm sticking with 30.
Thank you. And Jen, please.
This is Jen, happy with the 24.
Thank you. Application AFG 24-0034 has scores of from Jamuna at 30, John 27, and Jen 24 for an average score of 27.0.
Awesome. We are moving right along here. We're now to application AFG 24-0038. John, we're going to start with you. What is your preliminary score and comment?
This is John. My preliminary score is 24. I really liked this application. I said, my very first comment was, this is so cool. I love the use of the old school circus being brought to younger artists and audiences. I'm looking at my last comment, and I'm afraid that I can't. I'll just say it. My last comment is the lighting in the piece called Double Spring helped me to see the entire performance. And I can't quite recollect why I wrote. If I saw the piece, I'd be able to say, point to something specifically. But I think essentially what I'm talking about is that I thought technically, the technical aspects of the performance and the presentation I thought were very good. Kind of indicated to me that this is a seasoned, the applicant is a seasoned performing artist and knows how to bring things to an audience.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, John. Okay, we're going to move on to Jamuna. What do you think about it, Jamuna?
This is Jamuna, and I gave them a 30. I wrote, this artist has clearly demonstrated their passion and dedication to aerial arts, and I think creating a space for aerial classes and performances is a great idea. This equipment and space are essential for students and performers alike, as it provides a safe and supportive environment. The artist is a beautiful performer with much experience to bring to the community. That is all.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, Jamuna. How about you, Jen? What do you think about this application?
This is Jen. I gave it a score of 21. I thought it was a very, very, very strong application. The work samples had me on the edge of my seat. I wanted more from the artistic statement. I wanted to learn more about their process. It's clear just from the work samples that they have years of training. And I feel like they used a lot of time in their artist statement talking about their training. And I would have loved to hear more about how they approach aerial, what makes their approach unique, how did they take that training and put their own perspective on it. I also was curious, they say they use the word community a lot in their writing portion, and I wanted more. I wanted to know specifically what community they're attempting to call into the space that they're looking to build. But overall, beautiful work. I just want them to flush out the language that they use when talking about their work specifically. But yeah, beautiful.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, Jen. Okay, so it looks like we're to the point where if you would like to add further comments or discussions, this is your opportunity. All right, look like we're on to final scores for this particular application. Krista?
This is Krista. We are looking at round one scores for application AFG 24-0038. Jamuna, if I can start with you, please.
This is Jamuna. I am sticking with 30.
Thank you. John, please.
This is John. 24 is where I'm at.
Thank you. And Jen, please.
This is Jen, 21.
Thank you. Final round one scores for application AFG 24-0038 are Jamuna 30, John 24, and Jen 21 for an average panel score of 25.0.
This is Demetrius. Now we're at the point where we can choose to take a break or we can push forward. We're about 20 minutes ahead of schedule. So I will leave it up to everyone to see if they want to push on through.
This is Jamila. I'm okay with pushing through.
I'm okay. I'm ready to go.
This is Jen.
Sorry, this is John. Sorry.
All right. Staff, is everyone okay with pushing through? Shall we keep going?
Yes, we can continue. This is Krista.
Okay, Krista. All right. Well, we will move on to application AFG 24-0049. Let's start it off with John. What do you think about this application?
All right. Well, this is John. My preliminary score was 23. My comments are, first of all, I appreciated the artist's work with children, and they worked with a lot of children, I noted, and it is never easy to wrangle a large group on stage, no matter what. And I thought they did this well, which is good, because so often when I see large groups of kids in performance, and they may as well be standing on choir stands. And this particular artist was able to actually create nice pictures using all of the actors involved in the project. It also, I think, gives all kinds of, a large number of young artists new opportunity, and that's an important mission.
This is Demetris. Thank you, John. Jamuna, what do you think?
I gave the group a 30. I wrote, this is a great application. All the boxes are checked for me. I have no issues with any part of it. The works look professional, the kids are engaged, and without a doubt, it benefits the community and beyond in many ways.
This is Demetris. Thank you, Jamuna. Jen, how about you?
This is Jen. I gave this application a 26. I thought it was a strong application overall. The artist statement and the work samples were in conversations with each other. They did a great job identifying the community that the work is for. I was curious about the process mostly. I think understanding, especially for the number of children that were on the stage, the quality of work was really high. So I'm curious about how they got there, like how in the process are they keeping these kids engaged to get to the point of the final image, the final work. But overall, very strong application. I enjoyed it.
This is Demetris. Thank you so much, Jen. Any more further comments or discussions from any of the panelists? All right, if not, then we'll move on to Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one scores for application AFG 24-0049. John, if we can start with you, please.
This is John. 23 is my score.
Thank you. Jen, please.
This is Jen. 26 is my score.
Thank you. And Jamuna, please.
This is Jamuna, and 30 is my score.
Thank you. Final round one scores for application AFG 24-0049 are Jamuna 30, John 23, and Jen 26 for an average score of 26.3.
All righty then. So now we are moving on to, sorry, I lost track. Is it 5-0, Krista?
Yes, 5-0.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're moving on to AFG 24-0050, and we're going to start it off with Jamuna. What did you think, Jamuna?
This is Jamuna, and I gave the group a 25. I wrote, the dancers are talented and their performances were beautiful from what I saw in the videos. The choreography was both innovative and engaging, and it was clear that the choreographer had a strong vision for the works through the written descriptions of intent and process. However, some of the choreography was too safe, and I felt needed to take more risks to be impactful in this dance genre. I wondered where they were on the trajectory of their choreographic career and if the dancers in the pieces were professionals or students. That is all.
This is Demetris. Thank you so much, Jamuna. Jen, how about you?
This is Jen. I scored this application a 16. I wanted more specificity with the artist statement. What is the why behind the artist's choices? Why does their work look the way that it does? How do they come to these choices? How does sound and lighting play a part in their process? What contexts are their work shared? Who is their audience for? What struggles does their work address? Overall, though, I did think they did a great job describing their work samples. Thank you.
This is Demetris. Thank you so much, Jen. John, what do you think?
Well, this is 27 is my score. I thought that the piece, the pack, was very solid. It was well danced, well lit, and it has a beat that I think will attract new audience and probably dig deeper into the audience pool, and bring new people to see these kind of performances. There was a ton of energy in the piece called 86, And I thought the artist brought out solid performances, or the applicant brought out solid performances in the artists they worked with.
Awesome. This is Demetris. Are there any further comments, further discussions? All right, Krista.
This is Krista, and just a friendly reminder to say your name before your scores and comments would be fantastic. And we are going to move over to the round one scores for application AFG 24-0050. John, if we can start with you, please.
27 is my score.
And your name. John, again with your name, please.
Oh, my name is John, and my score is 27.
Thank you so much. Jen?
My name is Jen, and I'm sticking with my 16.
Thank you. And Jamuna, please.
This is Jamuna, and I'm sticking with 25.
Thank you. Final round one scores for application AFG 24-0050 are Jamuna 25, John 27, and Jen 16 for an average panel score of 22.7.
All right, this is Demetris. We are moving on to AFG 24-0061. Jen, we're going to let you kick it off with this one. What do you think?
This is Jen speaking. I gave this application a 21. I really appreciated the intergenerational aspect of the work. I love the fact that the applicant worked with their what I believe was their child. I thought they did a great job contextualizing their work samples. I thought the application could be stronger if they talked more about who the work was created for, and just lost my train of thought, who the work is created for, as well as flushing out the artist statement. What are themes, materials, sounds, etc. that are in their work, and why are they present? And what is the benefit of working across disciplines for this artist? But overall, I enjoyed the work.
This is Demetris. Thank you, Jen. John, what about you?
This is John. I gave this piece, this application, 27 points. I love the spontaneity and the immediacy of the first piece, which I believe was called I'm Being Fuller. We are brought into the story immediately, and I think that that's really important in performing arts, because audiences, we need to be able to grab audiences' attention and keep it very quickly. So I thought this did that very well. I also am crazy about the integration of live performance and video. I'm very happy to see that kind of integration of traditional and technical performing arts. They're working together. The live and the video performances work well together, and it's an innovative way of presenting. And I think that it also provides an entry into a dance appreciation for new audiences too. I think that integrating technology into what we might consider a more traditional presentation, I think opens the door for new audience members. That's exactly what I wrote. So anyway, solid dance performances everywhere.
This is Demetris. Thank you, John. Jamuna, what do you think?
I gave this group a 30. I was impressed by their work samples, which showcased their diverse interests and abilities. It was refreshing to see that each piece was a unique exploration, not a repetition of their past work. The choreographer's partnership with different types of artists demonstrate their influence within the community, and their explanation of upcoming projects and the involvement of many community members were quite informative and showed continued growth. That's all.
This is Demetris. Thank you so much, Jamuna. Okay, any further discussion for this particular application? All right, moving on, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one scores for AFG 24-0061. Jamuna, if we can start with you on this one, please.
This is Jamuna, and I'm Sticking with 30.
Okay, thank you. I was like, you cut out for a second there, but you're good. Jen, yours, please.
This is Jen. I'm sticking with 21.
Thank you. And John, please.
This is John. I will stay with 27.
Thank you. Final round one scores for application AFG 24-0061 are Jamuna 30, John 27, and Jen 21 for an average panel score of 26.0.
Awesome. We are flying through this. Okay, so let's move on to application AFG 24-0064. Jamuna, we'll let you kick it off with this one. What do you think about this particular applicant and what is your preliminary score?
I gave them, this is Jamuna, and I gave them a 16. I have long comment. This artist has a clear vision and has committed to making this work for the last 20 years. The longevity of the making says a lot about the importance and meaningfulness of the work. I especially like that it is bilingual, and I appreciate the translation of the monologue. Discussing topics such as LGBTQ and Latinx community, violence against women, discrimination, femicide, misogyny, racism, homophobia, patriarchy, and the history of Latinos in the US is crucial and significant. And it was pleasing to witness an artist creating work on these subjects. My concerns were regarding the availability of only one video showcasing a live performance. It would have been better if there were more videos available to provide a complete understanding of the work's impact on the community over the last 2 decades, including the consistency and quality of the performances. That is all.
This is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jamuna. All right, Jen, what do you think?
All right, this is Jen speaking here. I gave this application a 19. I thought that the artist statement could, I sound like a broken record, but could have been more specific or benefited from more details. I thought that they could speak more about the choice to be a bilingual theater. Why is this important? How does this influence your process making and audition process? How do you select your plays and productions? As far as the work samples, I thought the work samples could have been more impactful. I think through providing more work samples, perhaps shorter, just a little bit shorter, but more. I appreciated the translation. Spoke to, yeah, I'm gonna stop there because my notes stopped making sense after that. But yeah, thank you.
Okay, this is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jen. All right, John, what do you think?
I gave this is John, and I gave this piece 24. I appreciate the Latinx and the LGBT focuses. I especially liked the bilingual nature of the work. I also thought that the piece focused well on cultural needs of specific communities, but at the same time, it was universal in nature, and I thought that it would be appreciated by a broad audience.
All right, this is Demetrius. So are there any more discussions or comments from any of the panelists regarding this application? Okay, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one scores for application AFG 24-0064. Jamuna, if we can start with you on this one, please.
This is Jamuna, and I'm sticking with 16.
Thank you. John, please.
This is John, and 24 is my score.
Thank you. And Jen, please.
This is Jen, 19, is it?
Thank you. Final round one scores for application AFG 24-0064 are Jamuna 16, John 24, and Jen 19 for an average score of 19.7.
All right, this is Demetrius. I have a question for you guys. We have 2 more applications to do, 70 and 80. 80 is after the allotted or scheduled break time. Shall we go ahead and just get through 70 and 80 and then take a break?
I'm fine with that, but my spreadsheet shows 2 applications, number 81 and 85.
This is Krista. I was going to mention that too.
Oh, sorry. I didn't scroll down far enough.
Okay, good. I was like, oh no. There are 4 left. Unless anybody needs to take a break, I would suggest we continue with the 4 and then perhaps we'll take our 15 and there's slight potential we can get done with this before lunch or slightly into like the 12 o'clock hour if everyone's okay with cruising through right now. Okay, so we'll do the last 4 and then a break to divide it up with the staff.
Okay, great. Then we're going to start with AFG 24-0070. We're going to kick it off with Jen. What do you think about this application, Jen?
All right, this is Jen speaking. I have a preliminary score of 19 for this application. I thought that this application has a lot of potential. I think that it could have been strengthened through just like editing the work samples a bit. They felt like they gave us a huge range of their work. And I think perhaps selecting work samples that were in conversation with a written statement could have really like benefited this application. I think also giving direct examples in their artistic statement, they spoke about their practice being both anti-racist and also having methods of decolonization in their process. And I think because those words are they feel like hot button topics right now, I feel like really being specific on what those practices look like would have strengthened the application for me. I also think communicating with us, the panel, on how that opening story and their artist statement connected to their work samples or to their practice, and explicitly saying why they're sharing that content with us would have also driven it home. I thought the work samples were clearly described and labeled, and I appreciated that.
All right, this is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jen. John, what about you?
This is John. I gave this application a score of 13. I just want to check my math. And yeah, I thought that the video submissions were fascinating, but I couldn't grasp. I had no context to help me understand the artistic intentions of the piece. I appreciated the work in the piece called Wait and its focus on young performers. But I guess my question at the end of my review was, is this theater or film? And I wasn't able to determine that.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, John. Jamila, oh gosh, see, Jamuna?
This is Jamuna, no worries.
What do you think?
This is Jamuna. I gave them a 30. I said this is a fantastic application. The supporting materials, artist statement, work samples, and descriptions provided a clear understanding of the artist and their work. The work is profound, meaningful, important, and varied. It is multifaceted, relatable, and has been created in many different environments and for a variety of audiences, which has a great impact. And the artist is a prolific creator who appears to have a great deal more to say. That is all.
This is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jamuna. All right. Are there any comments or further discussions about 0070? I think we're ready for you, Krista.
This is Krista. We are looking at the round 1 scores for application AFG 24-0070. Jamuna, if we can start with yours, please.
This is Jamuna, and I'm sticking with 30.
Thank you. John, please.
This is John. I'm going to stay with 13.
Thank you. And Jen, please.
This is Jen. I'm staying with 19.
Thank you. Final round 1 scores for application AFG 24-0070 are Jamuna 30, John 13, and Jen 19 for an average score of 20.7.
All right, this is Demetrius. We're going to move on to application AFG 24-0080, and we're going to kick it off with John. John, what do you think about this application?
All right, this is John. Application 80, I gave a 15 to. While the videos show us a seasoned actor doing good work on stage, I'm not quite sure what the applicant wants to do with the piece. I guess I really don't see a product, and I mean, for lack of a better term, And the last thing I said was I may be missing something. So.
Okay, thank you, John. All right. Okay, we're moving on to Jamuna. What do you think about this application?
This is Jamuna, and I gave them a 28. I found this actor compelling, and I could see that they had vast experience with a variety of characters. There is no evidence of audience impact, even though they couldn't provide very many video samples. Other evidence, like a CV or playbills or some record of the work they've done, would have helped. But just the same, I can see from the few samples that they are talented artists, and I was drawn into the characters and the story in each sample. That's it.
All right. This is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jamila. Okay, Jen, what did you think?
This is Jen. I gave this application a 12. I thought, yeah, I wanted to hear more about their unique approach to as being an actor. I wanted to hear more in general. I felt like the work samples could have been flushed out, maybe picking longer pieces or recording longer monologues would have helped. But I think overall, I too had left this application like confused, or maybe like question marks, I guess, in my bubble question marks in my head, for lack of a better way of describing it. Yeah.
All right, this is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jen. Any more further discussion or comments in regards to this particular application? All right, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one scores for application AFG 24-0080. John, if I can start with you on this one, please.
This is John, and my score is 15.
Thank you. Jen, please.
This is Jen. My score is 12.
Thank you. And Jamuna, please.
This is Jamuna, and my score is 28.
Thank you. Final round one scores for application AFG 24-0080 are Jamuna 28, John 15, and Jen 12 for an average panel score of 18.3.
All right, we're almost done. We're now to application AFG 24-0081. We're going to kick it off with Jamuna. What did you think about this application?
This is Jamuna, and I gave them 30 points. The subjects discussed in the works are of great importance to our society, and hearing about them from someone from a marginalized group added more impact. I found the 3 scenarios presented in the work samples quite insightful. However, it would have been great to see one more video of your work instead of you performing someone else's. The works are both entertaining and humorous, which makes them more relatable to some people. That's all.
Okay, this is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jamuna. All right, Jen, what about you?
This is Jen. I gave this application a 21. I thought the application was strong. I wanted to hear more about just looking at my scribbles here. The intention behind the work, the intention behind the work was clear. I wanted to hear more details about the work itself and the process of creating. What is the role of costumes that in the artistic practice? What is the relationship to drag in the artistic practice? And I thought labeling the work samples when they're referring to them and the descriptions clearly would have been helpful just for my own brain and like processing what I was experiencing. But overall, I was compelled and I thought it was a strong application. Thank you.
Okay, this is Demetrius. Thank you, Jen. John?
This is John, and I gave this application 22 points. I didn't have a lot of notes. I wrote that this is the application shows a solid performer doing good work focused on important contemporary issues.
All right, this is Demetrius. Thank you, John. Are there any further comments, discussions on application 0081? Okay, Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the round one scores for application AFG 24-0081. Jen, if we can start with you on this one, please.
This is John, and 22 is my score.
Thank you. And Jen, please.
This is Jen, 21 is my score.
Thank you. Jamuna, please.
This is Jamuna, and 30 is my score.
Thank you. Final round one scores for application AFG 24-0081 are Jamuna 30, John 22, and Jen 21 for an average score of 24.3.
Okay, last but not least, we are down to application AFG 24-0085. Jen, we're going to let you kick it off. What is your preliminary score and comment?
All right, this is Jen here. I have a preliminary score of 22. I thought they had a strong artist statement. I thought they did a fantastic job describing the work and really breaking down why each component was present in their practice. I would have loved to hear why they select and choose the type of stories they tell. I personally thought opting for fewer work samples with longer watch times would have given me more insight on their ability to tell a story. But I also believe that their work samples stood on their own without any context needed, which I appreciated. Overall, really strong applicant.
This is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jen. John?
This is John. I gave a score of 22 as well. I really appreciated the simplicity of this work. I as a viewer or an audience member, I like that kind of clarity, and it allows me to, sort of stand with the performer. I also, once again, I'm crazy about the integration of video and what I would call traditional theater. I just think it's we're using all of the tools available to us as performers doing that. And again, I also thought that the piece addressed important contemporary issues.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, John. Okay, now we have Jamuna.
This is Jamuna, and I gave this artist a 30. The works are unique and very humorous and captivating. I appreciate the artist taking serious subjects, and making fun of them to show how absurd they are. The artist creatively solves the problem with using lots of props to create an environment for the play by making the solutions to the problem part of the show with the soundtracks. Using only sounds to describe the scenery gives the audience the freedom to imagine their own picture, which is entertaining and makes the viewer feel more connected and invested. It makes it more relatable because you have to become part of the work. The use of the film didn't show through well in the video samples, so I didn't get a good idea of what they looked like, but not having them didn't detract from the plays. The quality of the work is excellent, and I can see the progressive development of the artists and their work over time from the first to the last work sample. Sorry.
It's okay.
It sounds so good. It sounds great when I write it down, but reading it out loud sounds really different.
It's okay. It's okay. This is Demetrius. Thank you so much, Jamuna. Okay, do we have any comments or discussions any further on this particular application? All right, Krista.
This is Krista. And don't worry about how long your comments are. The applicants definitely appreciate them. So yes, they're perfect. This is Krista. We are looking at round one scores for application AFG 24-0085. Jen, if we can start with you on this one, please.
This is Jen, and I'm sticking with my 22.
Thank you. And Jamuna, please.
This is Jamuna, and I'm sticking with 30.
And John, please.
This is John, 22.
Thank you. Round one scores for application AFG 24-0085 are Jamuna 30, John 22, and Jen 22 for an average score of 24.7. So at this point, we will take that 15-minute break for the staff to get together, and we're going to sort these by highest to lowest, find if we see like a natural breaking point, and then come back to you all with where we feel the breaking point is, the ones that we feel should move into round 2 based on that breaking point, and just kind of give you guys a chance to look at the ones that we are thinking should be under that cut, and have a little bit of discussion around that if you guys want to move the line to bring more into it or not. So we'll take about 15 minutes here. Stefan and Sapir, does that sound like a good amount of time? Okay, so we'll take about a 15-minute break. Everyone has time to use the restroom, fill up waters and teas and coffees and stuff, and we'll be back at it looks like 11:35 to jump back into it.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody, please mute your microphones and cameras.
This is Krista. It looks like we're just going to wait a moment for John to get back. And John, if you are with us, go ahead and turn on your camera so that we can see that you're back as well. So we'll just wait a moment. Oh, there he is.
Hi, this is John. I'm here. The screen was hidden behind something else.
Thank you. It happens. Okay. This is Krista. So Demetrius, I don't remember what is in your script, but I can jump into this piece if you want, or.
Okay. Jump away.
Perfect. This is Krista. So I'm going to reshare the screen. As a staff, we have sorted to show y'all where everything has landed. So we'll get that shared again. There we go. So everyone can see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see here, this is the full complement of the application. So everybody's listed here. And we have our top at 27 with our lowest score at 17.7. The kind of natural breaking point, we kind of saw 2. So it's going to be up to you panelists where you want us to break it at. We're thinking not bringing in the folks that are in the grade-in area, but potentially adding this number 2 and 50 into that grade-in area. But just wanted to give you three the opportunity to kind of decide whether you want those 2 into the top for second round or into the bottom for not bringing into the second round. So you can each chime in on that. And you can take a couple of minutes to kind of look at these and compare to your notes if there's anything that you feel particularly strong about with either of those 2. That could kind of be where you gauge that. And Stefan or Sapir, feel free to jump in.
Yes, this is Sapira. Just to kind of explain our process, in round 2, we want to review and have a deeper conversation about each of the applicants that are in round 2. If there's anything that perhaps you missed that the other panelists brought up, you can review those applications and perhaps adjust your score if it's applicable. You obviously don't have to do that. And I do want to mention that in our fellowship award, we're definitely giving, we're confirmed giving 2 awards. That will be the top 2 scoring. Perhaps there might be an opportunity to award a 3rd award, but the top 5 scores will have to be clearly ranked, and we cannot have any ties and the top 5 slots. But yeah, I don't think that would be a concern. So it's up to you which of the natural break that you want to pick. So in line 10 and up or in line 8 and up.
This is John. I kind of like the idea of line 8 and up. Especially because from line 6 and up, anyway, I think there's some good thresholds in that 8.
This is Krista. Thank you, Jamuna or Jen.
This is Jamuna, and I'm good with making the line at 8 as well.
Okay, and Jen?
This is Jen. I'm happy with going 8 and up as well.
All right, so we're going to, I've got this in the right table. We are going to pull these ones off real fast.
Krista, you should be explaining to us what you're doing, because you could be giving us a lesson in Excel.
Oh, I could. So this is Krista. So now we're gonna push it back over to Demetrius, but just beforehand, I don't remember which Stefan or Sapira said we're kind of looking for a deeper discussion from you folks on these ones. So when you go into each of them, feel free to really have conversation, ask each other questions. If there's a big difference in score, we'll kind of we just want to have a deeper dialogue, see if there's anything that you guys come up with amongst conversation with each other that would inspire any of you to change scores. Definitely not a requirement. It is if it feels right to you to change your score just from the natural conversation that you have about them. So Demetrius, on over to you. I'm going to leave this up as we're going so that everyone can kind of see what's happening.
Okay, here we go. We're ready for the second round. So we'll start off with file number 00 or application number 0034. And we will start off with Jamila. Please tell me what is, well, no, this is what I do. I ask for a discussion, don't I? Okay, sorry guys. On file number 0034, I'll ask the panel to start their discussion about their numbers and if there's anything else you'd like to add.
This is Jamuna. Jen and John, I would like to know how you guys got your numbers. Like what the numbers that you chose meant to you.
This is John, Jamuna, and or I'll just jump in. Again, I guess I'd go back to talking about how I sort of set I didn't have a rubric. I like Jen's idea of a rubric, but essentially, as I began the review, I kind of, the very first time very first application I opened, I gave it a score that was somewhere between 25 and, or ultimately, I guess it was between 5 and 10 for each one of the categories we were judging. But, and then I just sort of consistently stayed in there. This particular application really stood out for me. And I think it was, again, I think I talked about how it lived up to the applicant's description of it as Tim Burton on stage. And so it was a, and I probably would have given it a 10, but I didn't want to, or on every category, but I wanted wiggle room pretty much. And so maybe part of my reason for having scores any place is because I wanted to give myself wiggle room to move here and there with those. So if that's helpful.
It was. This is Jimona. I obviously had a really hard time deciding things. So I'm leaning on you guys to help me sort of change those numbers for myself.
This is Jen. I grabbed my handy dandy rubric that I created. I'll very quickly just go over it. For me, 1 to 3, it was very generic, but 1 to 3 was very poor. 4 to 5 was poor. 6 was fair. 7 to 8 was good. And then between 9 and 10 was outstanding. And that was kind of just the basis. I kept this by me while I was looking at all the applications that I reviewed. For this particular one, I distinctly remember asking myself, I didn't put it in my notes, but I feel like Jamune came up with something you said as well, but just questioning the impact. I guess I wanted to hear more about the impact that specifically Shakespeare has on their community, as well as on like the current climate that we're in now, I guess. How is this artist providing a fresh look on Shakespeare that's applicable to our current life, I guess. But I also am just like holding or reflecting on something that John stated, which was the creativity that was applied to the fight choreography. I think as somebody who maybe is not as versed in just like traditional classic theater, that piece of it might have not been acknowledged by myself when I was looking at the work samples. So I'm just holding that, and I just want to like bring that back into the space, something that John said. But yeah.
This is John again, and before I make my statement, I want to ask a question, because I'd like to compare this application to something that I'm working on currently, and I don't believe that's a conflict of interest, but I just want to clarify that before I move forward with my statement.
For the record, Harry Ward, Deputy Attorney General. Yes, panelist Rice, if you feel that you need to disclose something, you might as well go ahead and disclose it. We're in a full disclosure open meeting, even if it doesn't apply. So go on. Okay, yeah. So anyway, so I'm just going to disclose. So let me start with this. I'm going to go back to the statement I made about how the piece Sandman definitely lives up to the Tim Burton movie on stage description. I am currently, so I'm going to disclose, I'm working on a multimedia presentation of Macbeth
right now. I was influenced by the film version of Macbeth made by Joel Cohen with Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand. I thought that Cohen used traditional theatrical techniques in film to tell the story. What I'm doing is a flip of that. I'm using film to supplement a traditional. I'm doing a production where we're going to be filming part of the production and integrating it into a live production. So I'm doing some. So what I think this does is, and one of the reasons I'm doing that is because we're coming out of a pandemic where people are not accustomed to sitting in a theater. They're more accustomed to sitting in front of probably a small screen, getting a little more accustomed to being more comfortable in a large screen or, in a movie theater. So I want to take advantage of what that may be kind of a new mindset for audiences. I want to bring them back into the theater. And I think that using using elements of film in the traditional theater is going to be appealing to audiences who are accustomed to going to, to a small screen or going to a movie. So this is one of the reasons I really like this particular application, is because I think it is going to be helpful in reminding communities of the importance of live performances, getting into the theater, sitting shoulder to shoulder, or getting into a performance space, being shoulder to shoulder with other audience members and experiencing a story. So that's kind of where that's why I, again, kind of appreciated so much.
Okay, this is Demetris. Any further discussion regarding this particular application 3-4?
This is Jamila. So can we, at the end of this, are we going to be able to rearrange this to what we think is number 1 to number 8? Or do we have to stick with these?
This is Krista, so that's what's happening right now. So it's going to be based on scores, how they fall in the ranking. So if you want to adjust a score right now, you'll do that. We'll kind of follow the same thing we did with the end of round 1, where we'll go over scoring, confirm or adjust your scores as we go. You'll just have to provide a justification if you want to alter anything. But when we ask for scores here in a moment, that will be the time.
Okay. I just was, Jen and John, when we go through this, can you guys defend why you, or not defend, but explain why you chose the numbers? Because I do want to change mine, but I need to know why you chose the numbers that you did.
And this is Krista, that's perfect. We want to ask the things right now so that before we jump over to that, you're good with your scores.
Right, and this is Stefan for the record. So this is completely allowable, Jamuna, this discussion. But what we would like you to do when Jen and John give their feedback during the application that we're talking about, we'd like you to make that kind of change to your score at that time. So when we're finished with this discussion through all 8 applications, we have the ranking and the discussion within each application, versus at the end trying to come back in and change your scores to try to move applications up and down the ranking. So, right, we want to try to talk about each application specifically, the review criteria and the work samples and the discussion that you're having with Jen and John, and make that determination at that time. Does that make sense? Okay.
This is John. Did we lose Jen? I don't see her on the screen.
I'm still here.
Oh, there you are. Oh, okay. I guess it's the way my thing. Okay.
And I just want to say, I think I was talking about the wrong application before when I was talking about Shakespeare. So I just want to apologize for that, but I'm back on track. Apologize for, I don't know where I was at. I think my notes got scrambled, but yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so if that was the case, this is Stefan for the record. Jen, maybe you could just go over your comments again for application 34.
Yes. Jen here, application 34. You know, I was drawn to this application. The work samples were really strong, but this application stood out to me because it was one of the only ones that spoke directly to this like special time that we're in regarding COVID, and how they approached theater making before and also now. Yeah. I just to kind of speak directly to what Jamila was asking for, I'm going to break down each one of my scores. So as far as them, I felt like they did a great job demonstrating their intention and their process. I gave them an 8. As far as the consistency and caliber of work, I gave them a 9. And then evidence of their impact, I gave them a 7. I wanted to know more about their community that they worked in. Otherwise, I feel like I too kind of lean on the air with John, where I just wanted to give myself a little bit of wiggle room, which is why I never really gave an explicit 10. I think 9 is probably the highest that I awarded, but yeah. Hope that provides clarity.
This is John. 9 was also the highest I awarded any score as well. And I gave a 9 in each category for this one. So that's kind of where I am.
This is Demetrius. Any other discussions? Okay, Krista.
All right, this is Krista. We're looking at the final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0034. So at this point, if there is anything that anybody wants to change in their scores as we go through them, you'll just state, you can say, I confirm my score of whatever the score is, or I'd like to adjust my score to whatever the new score is. And then you would just give a justification for what that score changes. And it can be as simple as, because the conversation that we just have, I was inspired by blank. So anything like that. So for application AFG 24-0034, if we can start with Jamila, please.
This is Jamuna. I'm leaving mine at 30.
Thank you. John, please.
This is John, and I'm committed to 27.
Thank you. And Jen, please.
This is Jen. I'm committed to 24.
Thank you. Final round 2 scores for AFG 24-0034 are Jamuna 30, John 27, and Jen 24 for an average panel score of 27.0.
This is Demetrius. We're now going to start discussion on application 0049.
So this is John. I guess the only thing I would add is just, how I broke down my score for category 1 was 7, and then 8 and 8 in the following 2 categories. I'm sorry, I don't remember what they were. Again, I guess what I thought was most important about this application was its mission of inspiring young artists, and I thought that the applicant demonstrated that they can do it quite well, and so that's sort of where I am with this particular application.
This is Demetrius. Any other discussion? Any other comments? Okay. I think we're ready for you, Krista.
That looked like a no. Okay, so this is Krista. We're looking at the final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0049. Jen, if we can start with you on this one.
This is Jen. I'm sticking with my 26.
Thank you. John, please.
This is John, and I'll stay with 23. Thanks.
Thank you. Jamuna, please.
This is Jamuna, and I'll stick with my 30.
Thank you. Final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0049 are Jamuna 30, John 23, and Jen 26 for an average panel score of 26.3.
All right, this is Demetrius. We're now going to go into a discussion about application number 0061. This is Demetrius. Does any of the panelists have comments or any discussions they would like to open up?
This is Jamuna. I thought this was a great application, so I'm wondering if I'm missing something.
This is John. I'm with you, Jamila. It's a terrific application. I gave 9s across the board. Again, I think one of the biggest strength of this piece, in my opinion, is how I believe it opens the doors to new audience or for new audience members.
This is Demetrius. Jen, do you have anything to add? Any comments?
This is Jen. For me, the area that I thought was room for improvement was the impact of audience. I love, John, that you can see that their use of multimedia work would bring in more audiences, but like the artist itself did not communicate that. And so I guess for me, I was just wondering who is this work for? What's the impact of the work? And that was the area, that last question was the area that I really marked down. I gave them a 6. But I can hear you when you say that the use of multimedia work would bring in more audience. I'm just reflecting.
This is Demetrius. Any other comments?
This is Jamuna. I thought that the fact that she collaborated with other types of artists meant that she already had like a deep connection to the larger part of the community. Like she was already making that connection by the work she'd done, and it was shown by the work that she was doing, collaborating with other kinds of artists. Does that make sense?
This is Demetrius. Any other comments? John, Jen?
I'm cool. I'm fine. This is John.
Okay, then Krista, you got it.
This is Crystal. We are looking at final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0061. Jamuna, if we can start with you on this one.
This is Jamuna, and I'm sticking with 30.
Thank you. Jen, please.
This is Jen. I'm sticking with 21.
Thank you. And John, please.
And this is John, and 27 is my score.
Thank you. Final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0061 are Jamuna 30, John 27, and Jen 21 for an average score of 26.0.
Okay, this is Demetrius. We're now going to discuss application 0038. Who would like to start the discussion on this application?
Well, I'll get the ball rolling. I know it's, I do the same thing in meetings. If they call for a motion, it's like, let's move it along. So I'll start talking. Here we go. Again, I gave it 8 in every category. And I think it's, I think we need to be reminded of our traditions. And that's why I really appreciated what I thought, what came to me, or in my experience of it, was a traditional old school circus being brought to younger audiences in a being brought to audiences in a contemporary way.
This is Demetrius. Thank you, John. Anyone else? Jen? Jamuna?
This is Jen. This is the application that stands out in my brain very vividly because of the work samples, because the work samples were so strong and unique, and like the years of training and talent was so evident. It also felt the hardest to like score. I mean, the work samples, like the caliber of work, the consistency of the caliber of work was very clear, but I don't know if I glean like the community. Who is the community that's surrounding this work, as well as, again, the unique perspective that this particular artist is bringing to this traditional circus art form. What is their lens? What is their perspective? That is the piece that I was yearning for the most to be articulated. Yeah.
This is Demetris. Any other comments or discussion? Okay, Krista.
This is Krista. Sorry, my little thing went up and away. I couldn't get it. It's funny how it does that. Okay, so this is Krista. We're looking at the final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0038. Jen, if we can start with you on this one, please.
This is Jen. I'm gonna stay with my 21.
Thank you. John, please.
John, this is John, and I will stay with 24.
Thank you. Jamila, please.
This is Jamila, and I'm going to change mine to 26 because I agree there wasn't a lot of information on artistic or the community impact.
Thank you. Final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0038 are Jamuna 26, John 24, and Jen 21 for an average panel score of 23.7.
Okay, this is Demetris. Now we're on to application 0085. Let's dive in a little deeper on this application and see what the panelists are thinking. So who would like to start this one off?
This is Jamuna. I loved this. I loved this person's work. Like really loved it. So I'm sticking with my 30.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I would just say that I scored 7, 7, and 8 in the categories in that order.
This is Demetris. Jen, you have anything to add?
I don't have anything to add. I scored similarly. I scored 8, 7, 7 in that order. But it's another one that the work sample stood out to me as well as being strong. Yeah, it's tough.
All right, this is Demetris. Any other comments? Okay, Krista.
All right, this is Krista. We're looking at the final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0085. Jamuna, if we can start with you, please.
This is Jamuna. I'm sticking with 30.
Thank you. John, please.
This is John, 22.
Thank you. And Jen, please.
This is Jen, 22.
Thank you. Final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0085 are Jamuna 30, John 22, and Jen 22 for an average panel score of 24.7.
All right, this is Demetris. Here we go. We're at application 0081. Let's start the discussion. Interested to see what you guys think.
You know, this is John, and I think I'm still with it, but you know, this was the one application I said where I didn't write much. and maybe it's because there wasn't much to write about. So anyway, I'll stick with my 22. So.
This is Jamuna. I'm going to lower my scores to, I think 8 in each category. I really wanted more from this, but it just wasn't quite where I wanted it to be.
This is Demetrius. Jen, do you have any comments?
This is Jen. I don't have any comments. I don't have any comments.
Okay, this is Demetrius. Last chance. If not, we're going to go ahead and push it toward Krista.
This is Krista. We're looking at the final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0081. Jamuna, if we can start with you on this one.
This is Jamuna. I'm changing mine to 24.
Thank you. Jen, please.
This is Jen. I'm gonna stay with 21.
Thank you. And John, please.
This is John, and I'm at 22.
Thank you. Final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0081 are Jamuna 24, John 22, and Jen 21 for an average panel score of 22.3.
All right, this is Demetrius. Last but not least, we are going to do a discussion on application 0012. Okay, what does the panelists think, or the panel think about this application? Any more discussion?
I don't have the what were the 3 categories in order? I scored this 9, 9, 7. What's the last category?
Evidence of artistic impact.
Oh, okay. That's the yeah. So I did. All right. Thank you for. I couldn't remember what I was scoring there, and I guess I don't know why I scored that. I'm going to stay with that. I really liked this piece, and I thought it was innovative, and I don't remember one of the things I liked was the innovative use of weaponry, and I can't remember what weapons they were using that were sort of non-traditional. And I guess I might even want to raise my 7 score to a 9. Because of that, and just see what that does to the rubric. But maybe so that what I guess I would do is add 2 points to my 25 and make it 27. But Jen, I saw you reacting. Do you remember what the weapons they were using were?
This is Jen. I don't remember, but I noted that from the first round of you saying that I was like, oh, I think that was maybe an area that that was a detail that I did not notice in the work sample that perhaps could, influence me to increase my score.
Sapira, if I could just interject, you are welcome to log on to Submittable and review the work sample. So we have a clear documentation of why you scored it the way you scored it. That'd be good.
So I guess what my thought on that was in the theater, and you're familiar with, we call it stage violence, not stage fighting and that sort of thing. So I thought that whatever they were using non-lethal weapons, and I thought that was cool because we live in a society, we don't need, I'm not too much of a prude about violence, but if we don't need to display it, why not? But what it accomplished was showing conflict as opposed to violence, and that's the point. And I thought that it was cool using sort of non-lethal weapons. Just brought home conflict. Of course, Romeo and Juliet ends a little more violently than it is. But anyway, that was kind of where I thought on that. And I know when the time comes, I'm gonna add 2 points to my final score on this one.
Okay, this is Demetrius. Any further comments?
This is Jamuna. I'm going to lower my score a little bit just because the caliber of the work wasn't as high as I think a 10 should be. And I also didn't think there was much evidence of community impact beyond who comes to see a Shakespeare play.
Yeah, this is Jen. I agree. I think that the thing that the couple kind of areas I keep circling around with this particular application, which I stated earlier on the wrong application, which was kind of like, what is the lens in which we're sharing Shakespeare in 2020, I forget what year we're in, but 3, I believe. What is that lens? Like, what makes the adaptation special for this particular context and special time that we're in, which I think could have helped me really get excited for this application. As well as, I agree, the caliber of the work across the work samples was not hidden for me, if you will.
Okay, this is Demetris. Any other comments? All right, Krista.
This is Krista. We are looking at the final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0012. John, if we can start with you, please.
You know, I'm going to stay with 25, even though I said 2 minutes ago I was going to give it 2 more points. I'm just going to stick with it. I think I'm right there with it. So
Thank you. Jamuna, please.
This is Jamuna, and I'm changing mine to 25.
Thank you. And Jen, please.
This is Jen. I'm staying at 17.
Thank you. Final round 2 scores for application AFG 24-0012 are Jamuna 25, John 25, and Jen 17 for an average panel score of 22.3. Stefan or Sapira, if you want to hop in, we do not have anything that we do have a clear separation in the top 5, so I think we're fine to move
Yeah,
forward.
this is Stefan for the record. If the panelists would like to review the ranking here of these applications and kind of give it a once over and see if there's anything else that you'd like to discuss or change. But we'll come through and ask you formally if you're okay with this ranking.
For the record, Harry Ward, Deputy Attorney General, and I know we discussed this in the past, and I don't know, so staff can help me out. Is the problem that the last 2 are tied?
No. This
Okay.
is so only the top 5 have to be clear. So again, this is Krista, so panelists, you can take a couple of minutes to look that over. It looks like you are anyway, but yeah, we'll give you a couple minutes and then we'll come back through and like Stefan said, we'll formally ask if each of you is good with your standings and then just move forward. All right, I think it kind of looks like everybody might be at a stopping point at looking through notes. If anybody needs more time, just chime in and let us know, but everyone good to have a short final discussion? It looks like it. Okay. So at this point, we will just ask each of you individually if you're good with where everything has landed. If there is concern with where anything is and further discussion needs to happen, then we would move into round 3 with perhaps all of them, perhaps just a few of them. But so we will start with Jamuna. Are you happy with everything, where everything has landed?
This is Jamuna, and I am very happy with where everything has landed.
Thank you. And John, please.
I too am full of joy about these applications and our scores.
Thank you. And Jenn, please.
This is Jen. I am happy.
Okay, perfect. Demetrius, we can move forward.
Moving forward. Well, this is Demetrius, and the Nevada Arts Council Board thanks the panelists and staff for your thoughtful work in reviewing the FY24 Artistic Fellowship Grant in Performing Arts, Dance, and Theater category applications. The Nevada Arts Council Board will meet during a public meeting to review the panel's recommendations and vote on the final grant allocations. After board approval, all applicants will receive written notification. Now we will move to agenda item D, public comment. Because of time considerations, the period of public comment by each speaker may be limited to 3 minutes at the discretion of the chair. The speakers are urged to avoid repetition of comments made by previous speakers. Applicants who are attending today do not have an unfair advantage over those who are not in attendance. And the committee will not take public comment regarding any grant applications under consideration. Is there anyone joining today's meeting who wishes to provide public comment? And are there any comments available via email?
This is Krista. We did not receive any public comments via email. I do not see any hands raised or comments coming into the chat.
This is Demetrius. Well, we will move to agenda item E for possible action adjournment. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Wow.
Everyone did a great job.
Oh, good.
Thanks.